some of these positions that have been left vacant due to the current circumstances. Another thing that is also taking center stage as far as politics is concerned is the issue to do with the head of state and his deputy, and also the Kenya Kwanza coalition. We'll be getting into that and just try to make sense of the political scene here in the country. But before we get into that, I do want to give advice, a chance to respond to what we were touching on earlier, and that has to do with the politicians said to be barred from Harambees. And advice, what's your take on this, on that particular headline first?
First of all, I think it is not necessarily the solution for this country, because number one, there has been an attempt to curb campaign spending. We had, I think it was a legislation, was it on campaign financing and how much someone is supposed to spend for a campaign. But the regulation of that became very difficult. Mm-hmm. It was difficult for you to actually be able to regulate that. Now, be that as it may, I'll also talk about the regulation. To me, should not be more about the Harambe and how much you give, but should be more about curbing corruption, mm-hmm, and ensuring that no one has money he's not supposed to have. So for me, it must begin there, because if we will just curb the Harambes, then that simply means people will still have the money anyway. So the biggest of the need that we have is to curb corruption, that we are not supposed to have monies that are going to get out there that are not necessarily legally acquired. But then the cornerstone of everything, in my view, when it comes to campaigns, is the people. Mm-hmm. Because and I refuse to agree with the notion that Kenyans, that the person with the highest amount of money must always win the election. Mm-hmm. We have had a Gen Z uprising that has been able to speak to the issues of governance, to speak to the issues of accountability. And it has kept saying that this unit has not been funded by anyone. That is what the uprising has said. And we have seen people in the street, and they have advocated for proper governance. In equal spirit and in equal measure, people can get out and vote the right people. Because we cannot anchor our hopes on getting the correct leadership and the correct type of governance on legislation. Yet we have the opportunity, according to us by law, to vote in the right people. So let us just start in the beginning. Let us just start it from at source. Let us be able to vote in the right people, instead of waiting that we'll have legislations that will be able to guide us towards voting the right people. I think that's a long route to go. Okay. The best route is for Kenyans to be able to know that because you understand that the person in parliament represents you, because you understand that the person who is going there will be able to carry your hopes for the next 5 years, then let us just vote for the right people. I told you, I was off the cuff, we were talking about the campaigns, and I was telling you I was in the campaign trail, even in Kibra constituency, where Honorable Orero is elected. And I don't think Honorable Orero was the person with the highest amount of money in the Kibra election, but he was able to be elected. So the notion that we keep pushing as though Kenyans are dumb, I don't agree with it. These are the same Kenyans who have been able to come out and say we are demanding better governance. These are the same Kenyans who are able to say withdraw the finance bill, and it was withdrawn. So for me, it is in equal spectra that we can actually just be able to get out and vote the right people. Okay. I don't agree with the mentality where we vote, and after we vote, we start behaving as though we don't know how those people got into office. No. We must be, the first person who must be accountable is we, the voter, because we are the ones who get them into office. Okay. We can't behave like we don't know how they got into parliament.
And I want to take a minute to touch on whatever you said. Honorable Orero, what did it take to convince the people of Kibra to elect you? Nalo says you're not the person that had the the largest coffers.
As I think.
As a person, my life has been in the public domain. I've worked in the government as a teacher and up to principal, and it has been within the Kibra community, the schools in Upper Hill, Langata, and so people looked at me as that person with the characters and qualities that they require. Okay. That person that can respond to their needs, that person who can relate to those who want its services, service to the community, and also my manifesto of what I wanted to do for Kibra people.
Okay.
So I don't think they looked at the kind of monies that I have, because I resigned as a teacher and came to politics direct because of my manifesto and also my strategy. The people thought that I'm the best candidate for Kibra constituency.
Did you have opponents that, you know, had... I don't want to call it opulence, but did you have opponents that had deeper pockets?
Yeah. Of course, that is, I was against an incumbent. Then I was also against my former student, that is MacDonald Mariga.
Oh, he was your student?
Of course, Mariga was my student, plus his brothers, 7 of their family members, siblings, were my students.
Yeah.
So Mariga is a millionaire, no multi-millionaire. So I was running against some people with very deep pockets, but still they were able to single out the kind of person that they would want to represent them within that cosmopolitan constituency. And I think that is Mwalimu Peter Orero, who is here.
Okay, you haven't disappointed them, I hope so. No.
Remember, just as you transition, that even at the national level, the president today was deputy president then, and the Azimio candidate then was being supported by government. But the person who won the election was not government. It is normal perception and normal reality that a government candidate would presumably have better resource.
Yeah.
But still, the person who won was Dr. William Ruto, who presumably was supposed to have less resources than the other person. So I don't agree with the notion that it's always about the resource, because then we cloud our people from knowing that the sole responsibility is with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe the deep state wasn't deep enough. Let's get to a morning conversation here, and we want to take a look at the state of politics in the country. Let me start with this one. What is happening within the ODM party? Clamor for different positions. Now that you're a member of that particular party, clamor for different positions to be filled. How do we get to, you know, solve the issues within the party so that it doesn't disintegrate in the long run? Because you have 2 deputy chair positions that, you know, need to be filled. You have a minority leader that need to, you know, step into office. You know, lead of minority, of course, that is. And also, once the party leader steps out and goes to AU, there's also need to fill that particular position. So right now, people are trying to position themselves as best fit to fill these different positions that are actually presenting themselves. Will it last? Will it disintegrate the party, or what exactly is happening there?
Thank you. Once again, ODM, I think, is the most democratic party, where we exhibit and exercise the highest level of democracy. We are social democrats, and it is the longest party in existence. I think not in with the biggest number. We have KANU, which is longer, but the current political party with the highest, which has existed for a long period of time, and with the highest number of members of parliament is ODM. In politics, politics about interests. It is not the first time that these posts are being filled. After election, every year, annually, we fill certain positions. During our election, we are one of the parties that has always carried out internal elections. We just filed our returns, I think, the other year. So we expect that we must have competition. We have intra-political party competition and not extra. So within the intra-political party competition, every person who is a politician must express his desires to move to the next level. And these desires cannot be curtailed by a particular person. It can only be curtailed through elections. If your desires does not conform to the demands of the people, they will not vote you in. So what we are seeing in ODM is a healthy political competition. And within the party, just like in a family, you can have differences, but you still belong to one family. In ODM, we allow for political competition. Those who wish to move to higher offices, because we have had people being appointed to the government positions, and therefore we have created space for other people also to move in. We have the biggest talent talent in terms of political maturity within this country in ODM. And we can never sit pretty to just say that this post can never be filled. We must come out and fill this part. And anybody who has shown interest, I think we must give them credit, allow them to fulfill their desires within our political framework of our political party aspirations, and see whether the electorates will really elect them to those positions. Okay. I think that is what we are seeing, and this will never disintegrate ODM. ODM is one of the mature political parties that we have. They have resisted, they have carried out their election not once, and they have resisted disintegration. But if one feels that now they are not social democrats and they want to pursue another line of aspiration, then he is just able to leave. He wants to leave, then he will leave.
At this particular point, you're not looking at letting people go. You want to try and maintain that particular group.
Let me tell you, in politics, you leave and 10 people fill your space. and when you leave, it should not be caught as a personal difference. It should be based on ideological differences. Okay. And maybe if your aspirations are not met, then you want to move to other places. You can never be stopped in political.
And that's the thing. The politics of this country is really, disturbing to some extent. Because I'm like, if you've been a member of a political party for a very long time, it's because you believed in the ideologies of that particular political party. Why do those ideologies get to change along the way? I don't know. So, let me come to you. This is the thing.
Yes.
We have a party here that has, to some extent, out of nowhere, with just a very short time, has so many positions that need to be filled. And each particular region says we need to be represented. The Coast region says we need Abdul Somad there. We need so-and-so to fill those particular positions. The position that was held by Ali Hassan Joho, the person that is going to replace him, needs to come from this particular region. You have a region like Nyanza, you have a region like Nyanza, and also areas like Kisii and Nyamira saying, by the way, we also need to come into these particular positions. But there's need to do a region balance. There's also need to keep everyone satisfied and maintain the party's unity to some extent. How do you balance the two here?
Thank you. I think first of all I need to call Honorable Orero to order, because he has said ODM is the biggest has the biggest talent in political maturity in Kenya. I think we have other political parties who have equally that equal capacity of the maturity. He also says ODM has had many elections. I think ODM has only had one election before, and it ended in Men in Black. So we cannot be able to say ODM has had many elections before. But then, be that as it may, I want to respond to your question in two ways. One, from the political reality, and the other way from what will actually happen. First of all, there is no problem, and because it's a political party and I am an official in a political party, political parties do just that. They do politics. So when there is a position to be filled, people will come out and they will want to fill that. So there's no problem about that. Actually, it only speaks to the democracy in the party, because we will have people from Nyanza, we will have people from every other region. So it is not, I don't know why it's being functioned as though ODM is crumbling. That is just what happens in a political party, in a political setup.
I think now, when people look at it, they see that to some extent they are not being called to order, you want to use your words, and have a one particular voice that says, okay, this is the decision that you have. When each particular region now wants to front someone, what if they don't get that? Because there are not so many positions to fill. In
a democratic process, you don't call people to order. It is the vote that calls people to order. You don't call and say you don't run. You don't say you Coast region do not run. They are in their right, because Honorable Ali Hassan Joho was the deputy party leader, came from the Coast region. And it is just politically right that the Coast region will come up and say, we must be able to fill up our position. Honorable Paranya came from the Western region. It is politically right for the Western region to demand that that position should be filled by one of their own. And it's also right for Honorable Simba Arati from the Kisii region to say, not at all. These positions are not regional positions. That is also right. So everyone is just deploying their best political strategy and their best political card. So it is about then the party National Executive Council Committee and the party's National Delegates Conference to be able to then see who actually fits the bill. I foresee a situation where this will be taken through consensus, consensus building, because I can be able to foresee how much confusion you can actually have when you submit that to a vote. It will be almost like a national election. So I think they will go the consensus way. But again, I told you I'll answer you from a political reality perspective. And my experience is that when people in political party top echelons of leadership take jobs in government, their positions are only filled cosmetically, but those people always remain the leaders of those political parties. You are able to see, for instance, the ANC merger with UDA, and you're able to see who spoke about the merger and who was able to give okay of the merger. It was still Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, who is presumably not the party leader of ANC. ANC has a party leader today. So for me, it's politically, I still think Honorable Joho and Oparanya are still the deputy party leaders of ODM. Honorable Mbadi is still the chair of ODM, but cosmetically they will be filled because that is what is legal. So from a legal perspective, they will be filled, but from a political perspective, those people will still be the office holders. Okay,
that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
So let me come to the issue of these particular positions, that, and I want us to take a look at the National Assembly, of course. We've seen the suggestion to have Junet Mohammed actually lead the minority side, and Millie Odhiambo be the minority whip in the National Assembly. These are some of the suggestions that have been fronted, but they're not sitting well with the rest of the Azimio coalition, because you're talking about filling positions here. They're not sitting well with the rest of the Azimio coalition members who say, okay, Wiper wants to front the lead of the minority because they're accusing the Orange Democratic Party of actually being part of government.
Being part of the majority.
Being part of the majority. Let me come to you.
I don't know where you're getting your facts from, that it is not sitting well with other people.
Because we ran a story and we spoke to the Secretary General of Wiper Party, and she said, okay, we don't agree with that. We don't agree with those names.
Okay, so I think that is what we call now, that is inter-party competitions. We have Azimio, but we have inter-party competition. We have ODM, and we have intra-party competitions. And I had said that yesterday we had a parliamentary group meeting. Yesterday, which was attended by quite a number of members of parliament within the Azimio coalition. And interestingly, the deputy minority leader comes from the Wiper Party, and he was within the meeting, and that is Bwanambui. And the filling of those positions really was being ratified yesterday by members of the Azimio. And that ratification can only happen when the quorum is there. And we had the quorum. And the political parties, almost all the political parties attended, including KANU and Jubilee. The Jubilee Party, and where my friend comes from, Mr. Mwenje is the deputy whip within our parliament. So the posts which are there really has tried to accommodate quite a number of people within the Azimio family. And therefore, when Millie was chosen as the whip of the parliament, of the Azimio coalition, it is not just a matter of appointment. It is about the credential that somebody has within that party. Millie is, I think, one of the highest ranked. We say in parliament we have rankings. You are ranked when you are a first year, like me now. I'm a first year. So I'm not even ranked. Maybe when I come for the second time, which I will come for the second 2027, now I'll be a ranked member second year. Millie has been there for 4 terms. He's one of the highest ranked person. Being a lawyer, and she's very articulate in parliament. She's very resourceful. And before being a parliament, she was an activist. She has all the credentials that allows her to be appointed. And within the contribution in a parliament, in fact, she's being referred as a bad girl. She is always there. So we can never say that the appointment was by mistake. Then we come to Junet. So they were approved by the parliamentary group yesterday. And of course, we can never agree all of us, but we have said in a democracy, the majority have their way.
Okay.
So I think that is what happened.
So let me understand. You said, you know, some of these proposals cannot be ratified unless you have quorum. What does quorum? What's the threshold in having quorum?
Of course, each
majority.
political party has a way of looking at the quorum, but at least half the number of those in parliament should be there. But in parliament, we always have simple majority. Sometimes there are only bills that you must have 2/3. The requirement, constitutional bills, but others is just simple majority. But yesterday, the attendance was overwhelming. They were over 50%.
But you still have the majority. Your party has the majority.
Our party has the majority, but we have other affiliate members of the coalition who are represented. If you look at those even who proposed the nominations of our minority leader and the whip, they were not from the ODM yesterday. We had proposals from Jubilee, we had proposals from KANU, we have proposals from DAP. So it means that this was an Azimio meeting with all the other political parties. There was no party which was not represented within that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, opposition coalition Azimio la Umoja One Kenya has endorsed the nomination of Suna Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed and his Suba North counterpart Millie Odhiambo as the National Assembly Minority Leader and Whip, respectively. Now, Junet has been the National Assembly Minority Whip, a position he has now relinquished to the incoming Millie Odhiambo. Yesterday, the Azimio la Umoja Parliamentary Group met at Parliament Building in the morning to endorse the names fronted by the opposition chief Raila Odinga's ODM party. 30 seconds before I take a break.
Thank you. I think first of all, you realize that it's a culture in Azimio to use the name of Jubilee when it's convenient. Because when they do not want Jubilee, they say Jubilee joined government.
Oh, so which Jubilee? Because do we still have one Jubilee?
That's what I'm just responding to. Yeah. But Honorable Borrero is telling you that they had responses from Jubilee. I think I just want to get it very clear and straight that Jubilee Party is a sole parliamentary party with a whip. We are neither in Kenya Kwanza nor Azimio. What my brother Orero and Azimio have is 2 members of parliament from Jubilee who they conveniently use and use the name of Jubilee. Jubilee is in record to having left Azimio, submitted to Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, and acknowledged by the Speaker of the National Assembly as a sole parliamentary party. That is the 3rd parliamentary party. So the issue about Jubilee being in Azimio meetings is neither here nor there. But now, be that as it may, now when you look at...
I think they have not resolved. Who is the Secretary of Jubilee up to now? The Secretary of Jubilee.
The Secretary General of Jubilee
is Kioni. He's still Kioni. He has not
no.
relinquished his position as the Secretary General.
You are from Parliament, and you're talking about a parliamentary process. You know that Jubilee has a parliamentary whip, am I right?
I know.
You know that?
Yeah.
You know that the Parliament has 3 parliamentary political parties. Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, and Jubilee. I think that settles the matter. Jubilee is neither in Kenya Kwanza nor Azimio. So it's not a subject of a conversation. But then when you talk about the issues of...
just hold on to that a moment. I want to take a break here. I think, Kasa, we need to pay the bills, right? Thank you. We're taking a break. We'll be back in a few.